ReconAthlete.com podcast is brought to you by Lawnman ATX and Kreitz Market. Recon Athlete, episode number 35.
Wait.
What happened?
Welcome to Recon Athlete, episode number 69. Thank you guys for tuning in. Zach Lucero, joined by Chris Sanchez and P. Rod. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, now you do it.
So you like coming back to the future?
No, you do it. You do it too.
That was pretty dope, though.
You do it too. Do it.
Okay.
Do it like you're starting.
All right. Recon Athlete, episode number 35. Chris Sanchez, Zach Lucero, Paul Rodriguez. Is that what you meant to say?
Which one do you think? Which one do you think was better?
I like Zach's.
Because of the 69?
Yeah, no. Chris, it's the time of Christmas. Like in your name, but I like Zach's.
Why, dude?
It's because he's coming back to the future. That's why.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fair enough. So, I mean, are we gonna Zach? Are you gonna start driving the bus?
If.
Oh no!
Speaking of
phones, right?
I'm not driving anything now.
Yeah, no, right. Go ahead.
I'm driving right into the wall.
Man, I'm trying to start a watch party, man.
Man, I just felt it in me. Just thought I'd give it a try there sometime.
Hey, man. Anytime you want to drive the bus, bro, I'll take a back seat. I like to. Although sometimes I am a backseat driver, so you gotta kind of watch out.
But I think you just got the most radio experience of all of us, the most hosting experience.
Definitely.
So you got a certain way about you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, but they always say
I'm not licensed to drive the bus.
But they always say, how am I supposed to get experience if I don't get to do it? You know what I mean? Like people, you go to job interviews and people are always like, well, we need somebody with experience.
Yeah, but when you're trying to drive a bus, you don't just hop on the highway.
Hey, man, sometimes you just got to throw in there. I mean, that's how Snoop Daniel does it. That's how Snoop told me.
Nah, Snoop told me.
Nah, he lied to you.
Snoop told me he interned for like 67 years.
That's
or something.
True.
I have a story about that. I got my license when I was 16. No driving experience. I straight up went to Austin, Texas. 16-year-old, got in the car, thought I was going to Barton Creek Mall, went to Round Rock because I didn't know how to get there.
Oh, that's what Christopher Columbus did with America.
Man, I had this is before smartphones, GPS, before the Jarman in your car.
Wait, so were you by yourself?
Yeah, because I wanted to be independent because I thought I knew something because I was 16 and I thought I knew it all. And I got off and I asked for directions. And the guy was like, "You're in Round Rock." I was like,
"You should have just took the toll."
There was no toll when I was 16 years old.
Oh yeah, that was like 1987.
And you were trying to get to
I thought I was the man, and I was.
Where were you going?
You was going to Barton Creek Mall?
I was trying to go to Barton Creek Mall.
So you were coming from Lockhart, so you were coming up 183 and you missed 71.
I didn't, right, and I kept driving north, and I junctioned with 35, and I kept going north.
You took a ride on 35 then?
I took a ride on 35 because I thought
you was all messed up.
I was backwards.
One time when I first had my license, we did have the smartphones and stuff, and I went to pick up someone from the airport, one of my friends from the airport, and I plugged it in my phone, and I didn't know the address. I just knew the airport, Austin Airport. I didn't even know what the airport was called. I didn't know it was Bergstrom, whatever.
Right.
And so I put it in, and then like you type in Austin Airport, there's like 50 different ones you could click.
Right.
Terminal B, Terminal 7, like all that stuff. And I clicked one, and I went, and I just following the instructions to go wherever it said Siri told me to go. And I pulled up, and it was like in the back where they park the planes.
Man.
And this cop comes with his lights on. He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know." And I followed the cop with his lights on to the front where I was supposed to go.
And with Zach's age, we know this was post 9/11, so it's like they was on height alert.
Look at him. Wouldn't you be on high alert?
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
No. You didn't have that hair. You didn't have that hair back then.
Pre-locks.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Pre-locks. All right. Recon Athlete, episode number 35. Chris Sanchez, Zach Lucero, Paul Rodriguez. We're going to talk to a little bit of Heisman. We had that going down this past Saturday, and some college football awards, and we got some show notes that Zach made, from his home computer, right, Zach?
Yep.
We're going to discuss that a little bit, and we'll talk some state title preview game. We got the Westlake Chaparrals, carrying the torch for the Austin area this year up in Dallas. And how about them Cowboys? We'll talk a little bit of Cowboys, and Paul's already shaking his head. But first, let's go ahead and kick it off. Zach, I'm going to let you drive the bus with these awards and Heismans. Where do you want to start, brother?
Well, let's first start with the announcement today that the Texas Longhorns officially hired Chris Ash as the defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Paul, thoughts? We talked about it in the group message a little bit.
Well, the first thing I did is I wanted to see where this guy was coming from, and it said Rutgers. And so if he was going to be interested or as a possible candidate for the defense coordinator job, I'm like, what is this team in total D? Because Texas has to obviously get better.
Right.
Yeah, they got better by 11 spots. They went from Texas was 108th last year, and Rutgers was 97th. So that is not a huge increase. Apparently, Chris Ash was an assistant while at Ohio State, when Tom Herman was an assistant there as well under Urban Meyer. I don't know what he's going to come in and produce, but I mean, I think Texas has had enough of brother-in-law for many, many years. So I don't see a big change coming. I just see more of the same, and I don't think Texas has more than 8 wins if you're bringing in a guy like Chris Ash, personally.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy that I believe is 8-32 as a head coach at Rutgers in 3.5 years. Not a whole lot of success. Like you said, a brother-in-law type of deal. I mean, Tom Herman and him go back. I'm not very excited about this hire. I don't think it's going to really make a big difference. It was more of, I mean, I'm almost thinking like Herman, he's thinking, man, I only got a couple more years. I might as well hook my homies up. You know what I'm saying? I think at this point, it's almost like he's just bringing in his buddies and saying, hey, come kick it in Austin me for a couple of years because I'm going to be out of here anyways, because I don't see that this program is going in the right direction. He might know it. He might see the writing on the wall. He is a smart guy, so, I mean, I don't know anything about Chris Ash. I do know Rutgers was a really bad football team.
I'd rather have David Ash as my defensive coordinator. At least I've seen him win some games.
That's true.
I mean, talking about some coaching changes at UT, they did just announce too that USC just signed Graham Harrell to an extension. So that's a name that was being thrown around for the offensive coordinator job. That's no longer out there. So I mean, and it's kind of just typical Texas fashion to as soon as you see these openings, with a job like Texas, all you hear are the top names, the most hot topic guys, and then slowly but surely you start to miss on people. Because I mean, the next one on the board is going to be Joe Brady, and Coach O is not going to let him go easy. So he's going to be the next one on the ticker at the bottom of your ESPN app that's going to say breaking news, extension signed. So I mean, it's slim pickings out there for Texas in these coordinator positions,
but it's really not. The reason why I don't think it's slim pickings is because you have the second biggest bank in revenue in the whole land of college football, and you can go out and hire anybody if you have the right type of committee to go out. And there's tons of private companies that go and do collegiate and NFL high-level elite coaching staff selections. There's a process to this, and Texas is willing to spend the money. It's just when you have the CEO, the head coach, who's in charge of that selection process, if he doesn't want that many hands in his organization, he's not going to allow them to come in and do that. And so that's on the AD to go ahead and get that done and that selection done efficiently and properly, because I'm telling you, if Coach O went out and got an unexperienced 30-year-old offensive coordinator from an FCS school and turned Joe Burrow into a Heisman Trophy winner, granted, the guy's got skills, how come Texas can't go do that as well?
I just think at this point, like I said, I don't think they're being very creative.
But Texas has missed on many quarterbacks all the way going back to forever.
I mean, they've missed on a lot of stuff, like quarterbacks, coaches. Yeah, exactly.
And there's also been, I remember when Nick Saban was trying to leave Alabama to come to the University of Texas, and for whatever reason, stuff got blocked, and there's rumors that stuff got blocked in Austin to not allow that movement. I'm sure the donors at Alabama didn't want him to go and made some payments, and he had a brand new house. But at the same time, Texas has the opportunity to have the money, to have the resources, and it's like the Dallas Cowboys. You just keep getting mediocre product.
Yeah, and I think at this point, if you're gonna hook up a homie, go ahead and do it if you're Tom Herman. But What you have to do as a program, I think, if you're the Texas Longhorns, is maybe there's something internal there. Maybe the culture with the boosters and the president and the coaching staffs and the faculty and just all of that dynamic could be keeping coaches away. I mean, we don't really know what the culture is because we're not inside it. But other coaches do, and coaches talk to each other. Mm-hmm. So there could be that factor that we're missing from the outside of that culture could be toxic, and other coaches are leaving the program saying, "Hey, I know Texas sounds awesome, and Austin's a great city, and you're going to make a lot of money, but you're going to be miserable." People don't want that. They don't want to work in that type of environment, especially the more experienced type of employee. So, I mean, we're getting what we're getting right now, and that's all I can say.
We're not getting much.
Right. Exactly. We good with that?
We're good with that.
All right, cool. All right, Zach, what do you want to talk about first, Heisman or go through these awards?
Yeah, let's talk about the Heisman first. I mean, I kind of called on the last show. We were talking about the finalists that were going to go to New York and possibly win this thing. And we knew all along it was going to be Joe Burrow. Yeah. The question was just by how much. And I think he got what he deserved, and he broke all of what's his name? Troy Smith's records when it comes to most unanimous, most first place votes, most total votes. And I mean, the guy deserved it. And I mean, I don't know if y'all got a chance to watch the ceremony and watch the speech, but I mean, he was very respectful to both his current school and his former school in Ohio State. Both those schools, I think, got really great representation, especially being a university that lost the Heisman winner. I think they got represented very, very well for potential recruits and potential, I mean, for fans and just that fan base and the coaching staff over there. I think they got represented very well. And I think, I mean, it's weird to say, but almost like Tom Herman got represented well too, because I mean he has a really good relationship with Joe Burrow from the time he was at Ohio State, which is again kind of goes back to the whole like if there why not now type thing. But I mean I think the guy deserves it. Followed by Jalen Hurts got second place, Chase Young with third, and Justin Fields fourth. What do you guys think about that order? How things fell after Joe Burrow?
And I think that was probably just the only thing that we really didn't know was how 2 through 4 were going to end up. And I mean, honestly, I think you could have taken Jalen Hurts, Chase Young, and Justin Fields and, put them, shook them up and just kind of threw them down on the ground. And, I don't think anybody would have been upset about 2 through 4 in any order. I really don't. But I do think Jalen Hurts played well enough. I think he led Oklahoma well enough in the regular season to the success they had, and to the Big 12 championship and to the college football playoffs. So I think he did deserve to be number 2, but I don't think Chase Young or Justin Fields at number 2 or number 3, it wouldn't have hurt my feelings at all.
I'm kind of just looking at the way the breakdown is going for the first, second, and third rounds of voting, and maybe the Baylor win late with the Big 12 championship pushes Jalen Hurts to second. And they also just remember, he's been there before. He's been in New York. And so maybe they were just trying to be respectful as he is a senior this year and giving a little bit of Oklahoma love just because Oklahoma's had the past 2 consecutive Heisman Trophy winners with Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. That's the only thing I can really think of that much voting late in the year. What's
interesting to me is that Justin Fields got 20 first-place votes, and then he ends up number 4. So he had the second most first-place votes. But then he ended up number 4 because he had. I mean, how does that even work?
I don't get how it works, but it says total points. Jalen Hurts and was basically barely edged out Chase Young for the second place spot, which I think I would agree with. But I don't know if Chase Young necessarily deserves to be at that 3 spot. I mean, I think his story deserves to be at that 3 spot. I think the idea of a defensive player in New York for the Heisman, for a chance at the Heisman Trophy, deserves to be up there. But I think Justin Fields had a better season. I think that team went as far as Justin Fields took them as opposed to as far as Chase Young took them, because we saw late in the season that Chase Young wasn't really taking them anywhere at points. But again, going back to the ceremony, I think what also got represented really well was the transfer portal. Joe Burrow made it a point to kind of not necessarily like push kids towards, but to speak very highly of his experience in the transfer portal, and especially being at a Heisman ceremony where 3 of the 4 guys are a product of that thing. So I think that's kind of scary going forward for programs, especially at a university like University of Texas, where we're having so many coaching turnovers and lack of success when it comes to the larger scale. And I think that's something we'll start to see more of in the future. Yeah,
I have to agree with that, because you are seeing, like you said, guys that are just changing environments. I mean, we talk about environment culturally for a coach. You talk about environment culturally for an athlete.
I think it's just as fair for both parties to have that type of lateral movement and capability.
Yeah, and I think that, with the success that Joe Burrow had with Jalen Hurts, and we're just going to see it continue with these transfer portals, because like you said, Zach, you see it more and more often now. So and so got into the transfer portal. This guy's going to the transfer portal. Especially when you have 2 or 3 guys that are highly recruited.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest. Here in the next couple of years, we could possibly see Hudson Card or is it Jaquindon Jackson?
Yeah.
One of those guys, one of those names could be associated with the transfer portal here in the next couple of years. I mean, is that fair to say?
And especially with how popular and how in the limelight recruiting is now. If you're a 5-star recruit, the best in your position, and you go somewhere and then not play, like kids aren't going to stand for that anymore. It's like, why would I go to school A and not play when I can go to school B that recruited me just as well as y'all did and start? And they'll just do that. And I think next year it'll be interesting to see. And it'll start out as kind of a 2-man race between Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence for this Heisman. And if Justin Fields wins, that'll be 4 transfers in a row that win the Heisman.
That would be interesting. Personally, I think it would be Trevor Lawrence. I think that would win that. We should make a bet now, right?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence didn't even get there this year.
Yeah, that's true.
And I just think it's just solely based on his strength of schedule, and that's why he didn't show up there, in my opinion.
I mean, how much better is the ACC going to get?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're going to get even much better than they are this year. And the only thing that really Clemson's going to have to play on is their non-conference early in the year. And maybe they better hope that they can, hope maybe Virginia Tech or maybe Virginia or maybe Florida State with their new head coach can be a top 10 team at the end of the year. So when they have their ACC championship, they can have another quality win at the end of the year. Maybe that would solidify Trevor Lawrence getting into New York and possibly a Heisman Trophy.
I mean, he'll be there. He'll be there.
I agree he'll be there, but
it'll take too many people coming out of the woodwork for him to not.
If Justin Fields goes undefeated and like he did this year, I don't think anybody's going to stop him.
That's true. And real quick before we start getting into that, I just want to give a couple shout outs to some people that are getting up to my watch party. We want to shout out to our fans, right? Shout out to Heather Rivera. She's actually a host on Mix 94.7.
Yeah.
Former colleague of mine and a colleague of Snoop Daniel. She's saying what's up, and I want to say what's up to, or shout out to Adam Bergner. He's joining the watch party as well.
Shout out Adam. That's my boy.
Yeah, for real?
No, I don't know.
All right, this is Recon Athlete, episode number 35. Let's get into the other college football awards there, Zach.
Yeah, not only was it the Heisman, but also the rest of the college football awards. Had the Maxwell Award for College Football Player of the Year. It normally goes hand in hand with the Heisman. So we got Joe Burrow winning that with Jalen Hurts as a runner-up. How do you say that?
Chuck Bednarik?
Yep, that guy.
Bednarik.
For a Defensive Player of the Year, going to Chase Young for Ohio State, which I think a lot of people saw coming.
Yeah.
With Derek Brown as a runner-up, the defensive lineman for Auburn. Any thoughts on that?
Chase Young missed a couple games, didn't he? Right.
Remember that? Suspension, yeah.
He missed 2 games. I mean, Derek Brown, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Derek Brown. I'm a big fan of...
I think a lot of SEC people thought that those were almost interchangeable names.
Right. My favorite thing is the big defensive lineman that wears the single-digit number. That's my favorite thing forever. Of all in football. So Derek Brown, the big number 5. I mean, that guy was amazing, man. I just think that he's a game changer, and I realize that Chase Young is, possibly the overall number 1 pick. But the dude did miss a couple games, I mean, so I think you have to kind of take that into consideration. And if I had a vote on this, I might have voted for Derek Brown. I'm just got to be real on that.
Chase Young is a freak athlete, and just because he is a pure pass rusher, and in my opinion, I think that's the second most important position on the football field, excluding the quarterback.
Right.
Because if you can get after the quarterback, you can completely change the game, and I think that's why Chase Young was also a Heisman finalist, and so I understand he missed 2 games for what I believe are some, bogus reasons because of certain bills that were passed and some changes coming to the NCAA for earning income while a student athlete. And I think that's why Chase Young was getting that award.
Yeah, but I think as an interior defensive lineman, I think just for his name to even be in there with the Chase Youngs, I think is huge, and I think it is a huge testament to him as a player. And I think he'll be a name that we hear a lot in the bowl season in terms of if he's going to play or if he's not going to play in that bowl game against Minnesota.
Yeah,
because he makes or breaks that defense. And when you talk about the Auburn defense, it's not even necessarily their defense as a whole that's good. It's up front. They're so good. And it all starts with Derek Brown. So, again, going on to the Davey O'Brien Award for Best Quarterback, we got Joe Burrow followed by Justin Field, which is kind of weird because, like, how come for the Player of the Year it's Joe Burrow, then Jalen Hurts, and then Quarterback of the Year it's Joe Burrow, then Justin Fields? Maybe they just don't want to be redundant. I don't know.
Probably.
But outstanding tight end, Harrison Bryant. Runner-up was Brevin Jordan from Miami, who was on my fantasy team. He was pretty good. Best defensive back, LSU's Grant Delpit, followed by Jeff Okudah for Ohio State. We were talking in the pre-show. Both guys from Texas. Both guys that Texas missed out on, both homegrown guys. Grant Delpit being from Houston Lamar, which is pretty much DB high, the amount of guys that come out of that school.
Yeah.
They want to go to the NFL, Zach. They want to go to the NFL and they want to go early rounds. That's why they left.
So they go to LSU or they go to
Ohio State.
Ohio
State.
You know, I mean, they're just if you're just not doing that coming out of Texas.
And Grant Delpit, when he missed some time too, and just the exact same way we were talking about Chase Young and players like that is when Grant Delpit was on the field, there were times where he was the best player in college football, in my opinion. Just the amount of impact that he had on the games, and I think that's a testament to Texas early in the game that they were able to play them as close as they did with him being in the game. But moving on, most outstanding interior lineman was
Penay?
the pasta.
Yeah.
Sewell for Oregon. Runner-up was Derek Brown there. Most outstanding receiver, Jamar Chase from LSU, with the runner-up CeeDee Lamb. And after him was Michael Pittman Jr. from USC. Thoughts on that one?
I would have gone CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
man.
I agree with that.
But do you think that's like a regional bias for us because we saw more of him?
I mean, it could be.
I think it's just because LSU has a better quarterback.
Well, but I mean, CeeDee Lamb was just like
he's NFL ready.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he could have played in the NFL like this year. He could be a free agent. Somebody could pick him up and he could go play and run routes in the NFL.
Yeah. I
mean, that dude's he's a beast. But you're right. It could be a regional bias. It could be something that we see the dude play a lot here in Texas, because we're, Big 12, and we don't really see a whole lot of Jamar because he's over at LSU. We did see a lot of him when they played Texas, but we saw too much of him. We saw too much of him, but I mean, I just think personally, I just think CeeDee Lamb was definitely the best wide receiver.
And again, another reason why I really think next year you guys should play college fantasy football is I had Jamar Chase on my fantasy team, and just for him to be in an offense, it's almost like in NFL fantasy, you never really most players don't pick a Patriots receiver. A lot of times you don't pick a Packers receiver. Yeah. Before Michael Thomas, you would never pick a Saints receiver because their quarterbacks are so good. They spread the ball around so much that it's never really just one guy. And that's what LSU was. They had a plethora of receivers that had outstanding seasons. And for Jamar Chase to be up and win an award like this means he had to stand out amongst all of those guys. And in an offense that spread the ball around so much, he was able to really to shine. I think that goes to show the type of season he had. And so I think he deserves this. But CeeDee Lamb, I think you could interchange those one or two.
Absolutely.
Outstanding running back, Jonathan Taylor, followed by J.K. Dobbins and Chris's boy, Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba Hubbard, man.
Were you surprised that none of these guys made it to New York?
J.K. Dobbins for sure.
Yeah, I mean...
But why J.K. Dobbins over
because
Jonathan Taylor and Chuba Hubbard?
Because when because when Justin Fields was not faltering, but when he wasn't able to execute as the quarterback, I think that's where J.K. Dobbins and his offensive line completely took over. Personally, I think the offensive line for Ohio State was more dominant and more impactful, especially on goal line compared to Wisconsin's offensive line.
Yeah, and I think maybe, and honestly, I think Justin Fields and what the Ohio State Buckeyes did at the beginning of the season kind of earned him his little spot. Joe Burrow was obviously the Heisman Trophy winner, and then so Jalen Hurts was which we think a political pick. You know, could have been. He's a senior, and then Chase Young was the novelty pick with the defensive guy. So I mean, these running backs, there just wasn't enough room for them, I think.
And I think again with almost like a regency bias against where we are, it's Chuba Hubbard just does not get talked about. Not nearly enough. I mean, for the way that the argument that people make for Jonathan Taylor is like that he was that whole team. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin is a good team. Yeah. Oklahoma State is not a good team. No. They don't have the defense. They don't have the.
I mean, the quarterback is pretty good.
He was hurt.
He was hurt all year. True.
They don't have like the history of sending linemen to the next level. Like any time Oklahoma State was competitive in a game, it was because Chuba Hubbard. The only reason Oklahoma State was not at the very rock bottom of the Big 12 was because Chuba Hubbard. So I think, and I think looking back in years to come, when we talk about people breaking records or coming close on records, and you start seeing his name as like the name that people are chasing, I think people will kind of think back and be like, dang, I wish we talked more about Chuba Hubbard, because I think one, he has a cool name, and two, I mean, he was a great talent in the NCAA the last few years.
And three, he's from Canada. So I mean,
a lot of good running backs come out of Oak State.
Canadian, eh?
All right, then the last one I want to touch on, because I don't really care about the other ones. Outstanding place kicker was Rodrigo Blankenship, the Georgia kicker, which kind of surprised me.
Is that the dude who wears the goggles?
With the specs, who's been at Georgia for 16 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He kind of blew it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, didn't he miss like a few field goals?
Crucial.
Like crucial ones.
Yeah.
So how did he win that?
Because he never missed field goals before.
Oh.
But like, do you take that into more consideration because he just missed field goals in a big game versus never missed them in the past?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, how do you judge the place kicker competition? I mean, to me, it's like, okay, well, what have you done for me lately? And if I were a voter, I don't know who votes in the place kicker competition, but
that would be interesting to see who votes. Look at that committee. Like, is it just like it's a room of Morton Andersons or what?
Yeah, pretty much. But if I was me, I would have been like, man, I don't know about this Blankenship cat, but I mean, I'm sure he had great stats. So I mean, it could have just been based on his field goal percentage. I don't know.
Another name on this list that I wanted to mention real quick was that neither of you guys have HBO, right?
I do.
Oh, you do? Did you watch that 24/7 with Washington State?
I did not.
That whole show was basically about what's the coach's name?
Mike
Leach, just talking about him and his offense and all that, and it basically roasts the kickers. It's talking about them at practice, and it's interviewing the kicker who was third on this Grozo Award list for best place kicker, and he's like, Coach Leach has probably said like 3 words to me since I've been here, and I'm a senior, and they're like, the announcer's like, they don't really practice much kicking, and it cuts to them on a whole separate field playing soccer.
Yeah,
during practice, and this dude's third place on the outstanding place kicker list. So just to put a little bit more respect on my man.
Hey, I do that, but I think Mike Leach is such an old school guy that's what the old school football coaches. That's the way they do it. They don't really like pay attention to what the kicker's doing. They just they send the kicker and the placeholder off with one of the athletic trainers so he can get the balls, and they put them over on the other on the other field and practice kicking field goals. They just kind of, shoo them away. And I think that's Mike Leach's strategy when it comes to the kicking game. And hey, you know what? It worked because his kicker is third place on the Lou Grozo Award for outstanding place kicker. There you go. Are we done? That's it. You don't want to talk about the outstanding center, Tyler Biadasz, and the punter of the year, which is
most outstanding center, Paul Rodriguez.
The Ray Guy Award, which is I'm shocked.
It's not someone from A&M.
That it's not somebody from A&M. I am shocked that it's not an Aggie punter, because we all know that the Texas A&M Aggies are known for their great punting. Y'all know that, right?
Well, they got a few in the NFL.
Heck yeah. All right. Recon Athlete episode number 35. Shout out to everybody that's joining us on Facebook Live. Of course, we're going to put this out on YouTube. We're brought to you by Lawman ATX and Kreitz Market. And before we go on to our state preview, we got a little bit of news, Paul. Do we want to go ahead and share that today?
Jog my memory.
The Kreitz Market.
Well, yes, okay.
We're working on this, and I think it's going to happen. So I want to go ahead and put this out there because we're about a month away from, what our target date is, and this is going to be news to Zach too.
Yeah, we're actually almost 30 days to the day. There will be January 18th a live remote from Lockhart, Texas, at Kreitz Market at 12 p.m. Saturday, January 18th. Shout out to Keith Schmidt, Scott, and John. Thank y'all very much for the opportunity. I broke the news to Chris today. Zach, you're finding out now. You are going to be a guest of honor, so we are going to need you to be there. We want to do everything in our power.
Like I'm a guest of honor,
yes.
but y'all not?
You're the host.
Like I'm especially
you're a special guest.
Special guest.
Okay,
Yeah.
You are been requested by name.
Yeah.
So that Snoop Daniel been requested by name.
Oh yeah.
We'll see if we can get him there.
Okay.
In the
Did I spell my name right? With an H, not a K?
With an H.
Okay.
CH.
I'll be there.
Sure.
I'm gonna be there.
I made sure.
I'm gonna be there.
Let that be known. But everybody,
Get my pork
please
chops
come
ready.
out. We're gonna have live music there. Also, we're gonna have the band later.
Performed by Chris.
Maybe he'll get on the mic, strum a song or two.
I mean, I can sing a little bit. Nobody's ever heard me, but
I'll throw up. Get out of here. You cannot sing. Look at you.
So,
You don't even laugh.
hey,
Keith.
man, you know what? I know. Hey, man, what do you man? People, man, the girls love the way I laugh.
actually,
all
I
right?
was gonna bring up. I was like, man, they gotta be loving.
The girls love
Zach,
the way I laugh.
loving Zach. See, I'm giving back to Zach again.
But anyways,
Y'all both red. Why y'all so red?
oh,
No,
man.
I'm under this. Chris got this dining room light from 1954.
Zach's a special guest, and now he's getting a little rosy
Oh
cheeks.
man, that's all right. So just a reminder, January 18th, that's the target date. We're going to try to be at Kreitz Market about noon. And you said who's going to be playing? Who's going to be the band besides me?
The band's going to be named at a later date. We're going to get that name all in light so we can start promoting simultaneously. Texas Hatters, thank you very much, is going to be jumping on a sponsorship for Recon Knuckle Up.
Cowboy hats.
And David, thank you very much for that. John, also, thank you very much for that. And so we'll be seeing y'all live. Please come out. We're going to continuously be promoting on our Instagram, all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Give us a follow at Recon Athlete. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody there live on the January 18th at 12 p.m.
All right, so
That's some good news.
Yeah, that's some great
real
news.
cool.
Yeah. So we still got. I'm just thinking. As soon as you told me that, I was like, well, we got to buy some more equipment. We just got one more thing that we got to get. So we're gonna be good though. We'll be ready to go.
Dang, Chris, what are you gonna wear?
Not
Wait,
this,
Paul,
bro.
what are you gonna wear? You wear the same thing every episode.
That's right, baby. I'm neutral. You know why? Because we're looking for sponsors for apparel. If anybody out there would like to sponsor Recon Athlete with apparel,
If anyone makes black shirts,
we'll be
then
happy to promote you. Well, we got a guy working on some apparel who's got our logo and some artwork working on. So that's in the works as well.
Black Shirt LLC is going to be one of our sponsors.
Get at
and,
us.
dang, and Chris, you've worn some terrible outfits. You need to send
you
it
know
in the
what?
group message.
Somebody said that to me. Yeah, somebody mentioned it to me. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, "You need to work on your wardrobe." And then I'm wearing like this sweater that I wear to the gym. Like when
It's got tomato sauce on the biggest pulley thing I've ever seen.
dude. I don't know.
Bro, blast.
Why are you gonna call me out? Huh? Why are you gonna call me out?
Practicing for when I get there.
I know, right? Okay, so before we go on the state real quick, I just want to mention there are some bowl games coming up this weekend. So Friday, December 20th, our first bowl games. We got Buffalo at Charlotte.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Huge. Utah State versus
What's the bowl called?
That's the Makers Wanted Bahamas Bowl.
Bahamas.
Makers Wanted. Is that Makers Mark? I don't know what that is. Utah.
They're trying to find someone to name the bowl. They're saying Makers Wanted. We need to name this bowl.
We need a sponsor. Utah State versus Kent State. That's the Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl. I like smoothies.
Yo, I heard it's only like $200,000 to get your own bowl, to buy a bowl.
For real?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. For like a small one, I think, for one of the lesser ones.
All right, so 2020 goal for Recon Athlete. We have the Recon
200K.
Athlete Bowl. We get Utah State versus Buffalo. All right, then Saturday, December 21st, Central Michigan versus San Diego State. That's the New Mexico Bowl. Liberty versus Georgia Southern. The FBC Mortgage Cure Bowl. SMU versus Atlantic, 2:30 p.m. That's the Cheribundi Boca Raton Bowl. Florida International at Arkansas State. Camellia Bowl. Boise State versus Washington. That's a pretty good game.
That's a good game.
That's a
What
pretty
bowl is
good.
that one?
That is the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl.
Oh, Vegas.
That'd be nice.
Wait, which one is it? Is it Mitsubishi Bowl or the Vegas
No,
Bowl?
it's Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl. So it's sponsored by Mitsubishi Motors, but the name of the
It
bowl
is in Las Vegas?
Las Vegas,
Probably.
yeah. And then that's going to be at 6:30. That'll be the big game on Saturday, the 21st. And then finally on Saturday, Appalachian State versus UAB in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. There is a bowl matchup on Monday, the 23rd, UCF versus Marshall, the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
That's a cool name.
Yeah.
What does that word mean?
Gasparilla.
Gasparilla?
Yeah.
It's like sarsaparilla, but with gasoline. Sarsaparilla is like root beer.
Oh.
Are you being serious? You just made
I'm
that up.
dead serious. Sarsaparilla is like root beer.
Wow. All right.
You didn't know that?
I've heard sarsaparilla, but
that's that Lockhart, Texas redneck coming
man,
out.
country, dude. Yeah. Country. All right. Recon Athlete, episode number 35. Chris Sanchez, Zach Lucetto, Paul Rodriguez. Shout out to everybody that's joining us on the watch party on Facebook Live. State preview. We want to talk about the Westlake game first, or do we want to mention our
Let's talk about the early signings.
the early signings? So we got early signing day tomorrow.
December 18th.
We got a few athletes we want to mention and give a shout out
Texas
to.
fans, you're waiting for Bijan Robinson. That's who you're waiting for tomorrow.
Right.
Who?
Bijan Robinson,
Okay.
the running back. That's a 5-star running back. What?
It is.
Funny?
Yeah.
I believe you. So
Is
we're
he-
gonna
Chris
start.
knows.
Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
LBJ, 2 signings. Sean Fresh, we've had him as a guest on the show, will be signing early with Rice University. Gabe Smith also will be signing with Texas Southern early tomorrow. At Round Rock, Colin Sullivan will be signing at Purdue. Maynard High School, Chris's neck of the woods, Taj Brooks will be signing with Texas Tech. Hutto, 2 signees. Actually, 2 signees. Lordsville, Ua Ndukwe was going to be signing with Houston Baptist University, and Dejon Harrison will be signing his national letter of intent to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. These were confirmed early signees. We may have some other signees in limbo. We just didn't get back to us in time, but just wanted to give a shout out to the ones that were confirmed.
But they'll be shouted out from the Recon social media.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Twitter.
at Recon Athlete on Twitter, also on
All
Instagram.
platforms.
By the best center
Facebook.
in college football, Paul Rodriguez.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
played guard and nose guard.
You got to go both ways, huh?
Y'all both probably go both ways, huh?
My whole,
Nah, I didn't.
My whole, ever since my sophomore year when I was
Your
in varsity. Yes. Anyways, as a sophomore, we did 2 platoons, so we had enough quality talent to go 2 platoon. But my senior year, injuries got the best of us, and I had to play both ways with a broken left hand. So I did go both ways.
Senior year?
Senior year, yep.
Yeah. So that was because y'all were 5A?
We were
4A.
4A. We were 4A. Yeah, this was
Which is 5A.
which is 5A
DC.
now.
Yeah.
But like I said, we had the injury bug, and of course, all the injuries were on the offensive line.
Yeah,
So
we-
I had, like, crossover.
Yeah, Westwood, we had just enough people to have two platoons. So I only played defensive side of the ball.
So you were just a speed rusher.
I was just a speed
Specialist.
rusher. Yep. Denton Guyer versus Austin
Hold on, hold
Westlake. What?
Could you have blocked Chris?
Man, Chris would have eaten dirt all day.
Dang.
Here's the other.
Dang.
Here's the other
Hey.
thing. Here's the
Wow.
other thing. Chris, what did you weigh? What was your senior year weight?
220.
Okay, 245.
That's not a whole lot though.
Pulling guard 245.
I took on a lot of big guys.
And okay, so here's
I took on a lot of big guys.
This is the strength I had.
Oh yeah, he went both ways. And you took on a lot of big guys.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Big guys.
So here's a
A lot bigger
breakdown.
than 245. That's
So
for sure.
San Marcos ran the offense that Hayes runs, that slot T.
Yeah.
Well, they have this one play. It's called tackle trap. So tackle trap was where the tackle's going to come down into the B gap, and he's supposed to blow up the nose guard. Well, the technique to beat that is to throw your right shoulder. Well, the San Marcos guy was like 6'3", 320 pounds. Well, he was a nephew to my godfather at the time. Well, still is. Anyways, he came down, throw the right shoulder, baby, dropped him to his knees. Everybody thought I was going to get lit up. Not happening.
Yeah.
Long
You
time.
threw your right shoulder, or he threw his right
I
shoulder?
threw the right shoulder.
Oh, okay.
He didn't see it
Is
coming.
your right shoulder messed up like mine is?
Nope. I have no injuries.
Mine is jacked, dude.
See what happens when you get your speed rush?
Mine is jacked. No,
You get broken.
because
So you would have had no sacks against Paul.
Because man, I would have ran right past him.
Dang.
Dude, yeah, it'd have been easy.
And when he gets cut,
It'd have been easy,
and then when
dude.
he gets cut and eating dirt, yeah, that's what happens.
Man, there's a big difference between 5A and 6A. Everybody knows that, and there's a big difference between 4A and 5A. We played 4A teams. We played 4A teams.
And you were putting up some numbers.
Pretty, yeah. I mean, there's just more talent available. Not that
We always scrimmage 6A teams before our season started.
6A, they're scrimmaging 6A and wasn't even invented yet.
I'm sorry, 5A.
Hey.
See, I'm getting hyped.
You got more talent than that?
Yeah, we'll have to. I don't know.
We'll have to
speed rush.
Let's put it this way.
We're gonna speed rush at Christ Market on January 8th.
Before Lake Travis.
The only thing you're speed rushing to was the sausage. Get out of here.
I hope Chris brings his medium to the parking lot.
Oh yeah. Man, I'll be swimming. Yeah. Anyways. All right, let's get to
this bus back on track.
Let's get to this Denton Guyer versus Austin Westlake game. This is going to be Saturday, of course, at Jerry World, 7 p.m. So that's going to be the last game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be the last game. The ultimate, Division II, 6A Division II championship for the state of Texas. Austin Westlake, like I said earlier, carrying the torch for the Austin area team. Austin area teams, excuse me. And Westlake, they're healthy.
Yes,
they're
they
rolling.
Yep.
They have a great quarterback play. They've got great receiving play. They got some guys that have been stepping up at running back, including Zach Miners. We mentioned
Jackson Coker
as well, doing the things that he can do. Kirkland Michaud has just been an amazing quarterback for Westlake. Once they finally gave him like the team after like week 8 or 9 or whatever it was.
Right.
And, just all the receivers, Greathouse, Mangum,
Lindley.
I mean, they have what it takes to win this football game. Do you expect Paul Rodriguez for the Westlake Chaparrals to be 2019 state champions?
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Not just yes, hell yes. Okay.
So Coach Todd Dodge shares one common thing with the only team to beat Denton Guyer. And that's because the only team that beat Denton Guyer coming to this season was South Lake Carroll. The head coach of South Lake Carroll is Riley Dodge, Todd's son. So I see a lot of similarities in their game planning that's going to come through and exploit whatever deficiencies Denton Guyer has. But do you want to talk about talent for talent? I think the edge goes to Westlake. You want to talk about discipline? I think the edge goes to Westlake. You want to talk about just being dudes on the field, aggressive, powerful? I think the edge goes to Westlake. I just don't know. I mean, Westlake, I see this game. It's probably going to be tight early, but I think Westlake gets ahead. Then they just start getting more and more confident as the game goes on, and this could be 15, 20-point victory margin.
You know what Dave Campbell says?
What's that?
Denton Guyer by 8.
Cool.
They you know what that tells me?
Cool.
They don't watch Austin area, do they? They really don't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Zach, I don't know where you're sitting at this. I don't know if you expect Westlake to win this game, but I think Westlake has what it takes. I mean, of course, Guyer's got their Eli Stowers. He's a Texas A&M commit at quarterback. Kedrick Cobbs, great running back. But I mean, they just not giving Westlake the respect that they should be giving them because of what they've done, not only during the regular season, but what they've done in the playoffs. I mean, this state semifinal game last week, 63-3.
That score is what you see in 25 6A with the bottom level teams in that district.
I mean, that's supposed to be, you see something in by district play.
Not even, Chris.
You're not supposed to see a playoff state semifinal score being like that. So I think when we talked about it, when we were talking about last week's game, we talked about Katie Taylor having to play the name on the front of the jersey.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, Guyer, they're well-known football team.
Yeah,
they got titles.
That's a name right there.
I mean, that is a name as well. But I think there's just something about that name on that front of that jersey.
It's the legacy.
That Westlake has been around for a long, long, long time.
And if you don't think Todd Dodge knows how the coaches coach in that area, you're wrong, because he was a coach at South Lake Carroll long before he came to Westlake.
Yeah, and I think you have a great point, Paul, and I think that's something that a lot of people probably haven't really mentioned is the fact that Coach Dodge's son already beat Guyer this year. So they were probably over Thanksgiving, sharing stories on Denton Guyer and probably texting each other right now, and South Lake Carroll probably has unlimited amount of video and resources to help the Westlake Chaparrals beat Guyer. So I'm expecting a Westlake win. This is the first time I've really picked Westlake or Lake Travis to actually win a game in the 6A state title in a while. They've been to a few in the past few years. Ever since I started with the FanStan ATX back in 2010, I never really thought that they would win. And when they got to the 6A level, right. Lake Travis when they were at 5A, yeah, I picked them. But this is the first time I've been real confident about them playing against a DFW or a Houston area team in a state title game to get that win.
Real quick, Zach, that final South Lake Carroll over Denton Guyer, this was a Guyer home game for them, 46-34 victory to South Lake Carroll Dragons.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was October 4th.
That's a long time ago.
It was early.
That's a long time ago.
Right.
And I think seeing Denton Guyer in this game is really exciting for the landscape of high school football. Denton Guyer is a team that was perennially in the 5A, 4A state championship game, beating teams that we know, like when Georgetown made it that year, they ran into Gerard Hurd and Denton Guyer. Mm-hmm. And Denton Guyer is a team that seeing them have success in 6A now is exciting to see, because it's another name that'll get thrown into the mix with kind of the names that you are accustomed to hearing, like Allens and South Lakes and North Shores and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I think Denton Guyer being in this game is exciting to see for football fans. And they got some players on their team. Eli Stowers, the number 5 overall dual threat quarterback in the nation in the class of 2021. So he'll be coming back next year as well. So that's another team to be watching out for next year. The dude's 6'4", 215. That's a big kid. Committed to A&M, along with some other 2021 guys. Receiver KJ Liggins, with offers from Georgia and A&M. Deuce Harmon, a corner, only 5'9", but he has some big-time SEC offers as well. And then the 2020 class, led by Oklahoma State commit Grant Mahone, 6'4", 270-pound defensive tackle. And there's nothing more that I like than a good white defensive tackle.
Yeah,
you just love to see that. They don't ever wear sleeves, and they be playing in the cold, and their skin gets all pink, and they just make dirty plays and stuff. So
you're a fan of Lynch at Baylor?
Yeah. Well, that's actually my homegirl's brother.
Yeah.
Megan, she's a good friend of mine. You talked about a little bit about the running back. They have another receiver, Seth Meter, committed to Air Force, and then a defensive end, 6'3", 240. So I mean, they got boys over there, and that's one thing about that DFW area is they got big time recruits. But I do think this is the most complete Westlake team that we've seen in a really long time. So I think that we're in for a good game.
I think Lindley is going to be the X factor in this game, and if Westlake wins, it's going to be on the back of Lindley. He to me is the biggest matchup Denton Guyer can't fix. You have two guys on the outside, your X and your Y's, with Mangum and Greathouse. They're gonna put their attention on Mangum, and Lindley's gonna go out and do his best Wes Welker impression and get the W.
All right, so Paul and I are picking Westlake in this game. Zach, I don't think you made a pick, did you?
No, I did not.
All right, he's probably not going to.
Correct.
All right, I'm trying to find a schedule for these football games so I can just mention them.
It should be go to UIL.
And I'm going to these different.
You got to go straight to the source.
To the source. Because we've got. Why doesn't it say anywhere? State championships. All I want to know is who's playing. All right, here we go. Wednesday, December 18th, 6-man division. McLean versus McLovin. No, I'm just playing. McLean versus Blum. That's at 11 a.m. 2 p.m. is Matador Motley County versus Motley Crew. Dude, Matador Motley County versus Richland Springs. And then Division 1, 2A Post versus Refugio. That's going to be a big game. Yes, it is pronounced Refugio, even though it's spelled Refugio. Post and Refugio on 2A Division 1, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Thursday, we got 2A Division 2, Hamlin versus Mart on 11 a.m. 3A Division 1 is Pottsboro versus Grandview, 3 p.m. game. And 3A Division 2, Gunther versus Omaha Pewitt. That's at 7 o'clock. I can say something about Grandview in this 3A Division 1. Yes, the Zebras. They are the Zebras. Good job, Zach. I did go to the game last week. They actually played their semifinal game here at Kelly Reeves Athletic Complex. Shout out to Scott Gillette. Went with him.
Shout out Scott, my boy.
He's a homie, dude. He's a homie. We went to go watch that game, dude.
Scott.
They played Columbus, and Columbus. I tell you what, the Columbus fans, like they traveled. They were there. They were making a lot of noise, but dude, Grandview was just like on another level.
They went to state last year. That's a good team.
You know, and I can't remember the kid's name, but they got a kid that's a Texas A&M commit. I think he's 6'7", like 260 pounds, and he played.
Oh, that's Tyrone Swoops.
He played defensive end and tight end. And so when he played tight end, oh man, I just watching him block, he just like. He come off and he didn't even really try. He would just come off the line and like put his hands on the guy and then just kind of like
stay right here.
Yeah,
stay right here.
But if the guy tried to like fight him, then he'd go and then just pancake him. Yeah, dude. So there's just like okay, you know. So, but yeah,
it'll be so funny. You'll see players like that, and then you like look at their recruiting profile, and it's like 5-star receiver.
Yeah, and he's playing defensive end. But yeah, Grandview versus Pottsboro. That's going to be a big game. Pottsboro beat Brock. 36-35. Brock was their first 5 possessions, scored touchdowns, didn't score a touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then threw an interception in the end zone to end the football game. So Brock, almost had there. Brock and Grandview are huge rivals, so that would have been an amazing game. All right, 3A Division 2, Gunther versus Omaha Pewitt, like I mentioned, and then Friday is when we start getting with the big boys. 4A Division 1, Waco La Vega versus Carthage. 4A Division 2, Texarkana Pleasant Grove versus Wimberley. Shout out the Texans making their return to the state championships.
That's a tough matchup though for Wimberley. That Pleasant Grove team is good, man. They have a defensive end that's like one of the top defensive ends in the nation, and it's like you said, just dude that's huge. And Pleasant Grove made it to state last year, and all the broadcast was talking about last year was just how young Pleasant Grove was as a team. And how scary they're going to be next year, and it's next year, and I think Wembley's kind of been a really exciting like Cinderella story to watch through the playoffs, as they always are when they make playoff runs, as we saw like a few years ago. But man, this Pleasant Grove team is really good.
Yeah, and I think Wimberley Texans. Last time they went to the state championship, so they did go home with the win. That team was led by Brady Lambert back in the day. It was the same day that I went to that state championship game. It was the same day that Lake Travis beat Midway. And, just this guy named Baker Mayfield was the quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him.
Selfies on the field.
Yeah, Denton Ryan versus Alvin Shadow Creek. So 2 Denton schools in the state championship games. Shadow Creek versus Denton Ryan. Do you think Denton Ryan has any chance in this game? Because we know what Shadow Creek can do. Zach.
They have another Sanders over at Denton Guyer, and it's not a quarterback. He's a guy. He's listed as an athlete, but he plays all over the field. He'll line up at running back, line up at receiver. And he's like a once in a generation talent, man. The guy's so fun to watch, and I think just because of that, and because of Denton Ryan's pedigree in these games, they have a chance. You have to remember, Shadow Creek is still a very, very new school. If you're looking at it just by the number of stars that they have, then Shadow Creek will run away with this game. But I think Denton Ryan will be ready to play in this game. Their team has been overlooked all year because they didn't really have to play anybody this year to get to where they're at now, as opposed to some of the roadblocks that Shadow Creek has run into along the way. Granted, Shadow Creek ran into those roadblocks and just went smooth
straight through them. Yeah.
So I think this will be a good game. I'm hoping it's a better game than the recruiting profiles say, because I do think Denton Ryan is a good team, and watching Shadow Creek be tested like they were last year by Highland Park, it'll make this game be a lot of fun to watch, and I'll be there for these games, so I'll be excited to watch.
All right, Paul.
Shadow Creek, too much speed. That's all I got.
Yeah, Based off all the stuff you know about Denton Ryan.
But yeah, based on everything he knows about Denton Ryan, yeah. So you're going to these games, right?
Yeah.
When Friday, Saturday, or
Yeah, Friday, Saturday.
okay, all right. You gonna be on the sideline or what?
Nah, I'm with my pops.
Oh, okay. So that'll be a real go in. So that's Friday games once again. Waco, La Vega, Carthage, Texarkana, Pleasant Grove versus Wimberley. Shout out the Texans. Denton Ryan versus Alvin Shadow Creek.
La Vega, defending state champs. Carthage, Keontae Ingram's brother is a receiver for them. He's a big time recruit.
All right, so I don't know, man. That'll be a tough game. And then Saturday, before we move on, real quick, I got to say this, guys, because on the watch party, Sandy McElry from JB and Sandy, Sandy's is just a radio legend. And it was morning show host for years and years here in Austin, Texas. He just comments, nice work. That's all it is. And I just got to mention that, man, because Sandy, like I said, is Austin radio legend, Texas radio. I mean, he's done radio on Sirius XM. He's done it here. He's got his own podcast, the Sandy podcast, and the Sandy Show. And you can check that out, on where you can find podcasts. But just got to mention that real quick, and shout out Sandy for tuning in. All right, Saturday, December 21st, 5A Division II, 11 a.m. Aledo versus Fort Bend Marshall.
Should be Kyle Allen.
Really?
It should have been Kyle Allen.
I missed that game.
Well, that's your kinfolk. So
I know. That's my fault. I feel bad. I mean, you know what? But Justice will be a senior next year, so hopefully they'll make it to the state title game next year.
Fort Bend Marshall, their quarterback. Last year they made it to the state championship game and lost, but they had a player that unfortunately got shot and killed during the season, so that would really had an emotional backing to them. Their quarterback he was a underclassman. He was a junior last year, a senior this year. It was really him and Jaquindon Jackson that are kind of fighting for that Texas offer, and it ended up going to Jaquindon Jackson. I think he's committed to his name escapes me right now, but I'm pretty sure he's committed to Mac Brown in North Carolina right now. He's fun to watch, but man, this Aledo, if they're in the state championship game, you can't bet against them.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Unless it's something funky like Cal Allen, which didn't have a chance when they played them and then went into overtime. Unless it's something funky like that with an offense that's going to throw a wrench in things. It's if you're just going to play straight up athlete on athlete, it's Jace McClellan, it's JoJo Earl, it's all those guys at Aledo. If you're a Texas fan, both of those guys, those names I just mentioned, the running back and the receiver, are both big time Texas targets. So that'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, and I want to mention this, but I think I want to say they're going after like their 8th or 9th state title, something like that, something
Aledo?
crazy. Yeah,
I feel like they've won state every year since I've been alive. So that's 25.
Yeah, I think they're going after their 9th state title. The Aledo Bearcats are.
They got it made though, because they're their own district.
Yeah,
they have stayed at this second from the top classification forever, and they just dominate.
Yeah. So and then 6A Division I, 3:00. The big matchup or the big rematch from last year, Duncanville versus Galena Park North Shore. I think that's going to be the game, probably with the most people at.
Definitely most people at.
Yeah.
That's
Jerry
they were
World's
getting
gonna
close
be
to
packed.
opening the top level at Jerry World last year for this game.
Really?
And that's something that doesn't happen very, very often at all. But me and Paul talked about this in the messenger over the weekend. Jaquindon Jackson, the big time quarterback for them, Vince Young reincarnated.
Yeah.
Went down with an apparent knee injury during that game. On social media, a lot of people were saying it was like a dirty play. And that significantly hurts Duncanville in this game with how good North Shore is, and coming off the fact that they won last year and brought back a lot of those players. Duncanville was going to need all the weapons they had to play Duncanville or to play North Shore the way they did last year. So if he's not able to go, which I haven't heard anything
ruled out,
anything official.
Yeah,
I haven't heard any.
But I think the backup's a freshman, isn't he?
I mean, he went off in that game last week, but and I mean he'll end up getting 6 stars and playing for the Cowboys right away or something. But I mean, just Jaquindon Jackson is just the heartbeat of that team, man.
Yeah.
So it's really a bummer if he's not able to go next week. But just off pure talent alone and just watchability, this game is a must-see.
Yeah, it's definitely a dandy. It's kind of prime time for high school football, middle of the day. But, I mean, if that freshman's going to come off the bench and, these schools, they're like top elite level college programs. They just reload. And so I'm sure, if Jackson can't go, he'll probably give a great motivational speech before the game, and there's going to be a lot of emotional pride on the line for them wanting to win, especially a rematch, and of a huge loss that they had last year on a Hail Mary play to North Shore. I don't think there's going to be any loss for fireworks in this game. So it's going to be huge highlights, tons of athletes, tons of stars everywhere, all over the field. Something you want to go watch.
If you're a fan of college football, whoever you root for has offered 10 people on the field.
Exactly.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, at least. So, and you're talking about both of these teams, and I mean, I'm expecting Galena Park North Shore to win this game just because of the absence, of Jaquindon Jackson and the fact potentially we don't know yet, but I mean, if you got the freshman out there, I know he's probably an amazing kid, but they're just going to bring pressure and more pressure and make this kid, beat them throwing the football.
And just real quick, this podcast has been like me and Paul has been like the foremost podcast for Jaquindon Jackson at Texas.
I try. You do better than I do.
What really scares me about this injury is a few years ago when Lake Travis made it to state with Matthew Baldwin, and he suffered a big injury in the semifinal game, and Lake Travis knew that they needed him to win state. I forgot who they played that year, but Lake Travis knew they needed him behind center to have a chance at winning. And the first play they send him out there, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, I guess he's okay. I guess it wasn't as bad as we thought." And first play he goes and drops back and goes straight down. And that's something that just makes you sick, and you don't want to see, especially a kid going to a school like University of Texas. So if he can play, I hope he does. But if there's any doubt about it, I hope he sits out and goes on to have a big career at Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that the coach.
Thank you, Chris.
That the coach would, could take that into consideration, the health of this player, and what his future has in store. And I mean, I know that there's nothing like winning a Texas state championship, but there's a lot more that this guy's got on the line at this point. So, I would hope that the coach would really allow Jaquindon and his family to make this decision on whether or not he wants to play, if he can even play. And I hope that the doctors, if there's any reason why he shouldn't, I hope that their doctor would say, "Hey, you really shouldn't play in this football game," and that will take the decision out of everybody's hands at that point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I think if it is a type of injury that's going to take significant healing time, he needs to get on it. And I think he knows that too, because based on the climate around the University of Texas, this is Hudson Card is the next step.
Right.
And I think Jaquindon knows that if he's going to come in and compete, he needs to. It's not only does he need to, but he knows that that's his only chance is to come in and compete right off the bat, and he needs to be fully healthy to do that.
I think this is where, just piggybacking off what Chris has said, is where you take a lesson from Mac Brown and Colt McCoy in the 2009 national championship when they faced Alabama, and Colt had a severe knee injury, and he could have gone to play, could have got a cortisone shot, got back out there and toughed it out. But I think this is where the coach and the doctors need to be very diligent with their education to the family and to Jackson, to let him know maybe you need to take it out of his hands, because his future is far more bright than to lose everything for one state championship in the state of Texas. Personally.
Yeah, but I gotta say, a national championship was different than a state championship, man. He should have came back and played that game. I mean, come on, man. Come on, Colt, man. You should have came back and won that game.
Colt did want to.
Alabama.
Colt did want to. Mac Brown said no.
He knew he was going to go on to be the highest paid backup in history.
Backup quarterback.
He was trying to protect that.
Hey, Colt, ain't no hating on that check, brother. I'm just saying, ain't no hating.
Colt, come on the podcast.
Yeah.
Come on the show.
Yeah. Come on. All right, Recon Athlete, episode number 35. We'll go ahead and wrap this thing up, fellas. We're already over an hour. I don't know. We were going to try to get in some Cowboys talk, but I know if we do, we'll spend another 30 minutes on it. So do you want to give a quick Cowboys take, Paul Rodriguez?
Zeke made the Pro Bowl. I mean, that's
Zeke
just,
made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, bro, that just came through. Zeke made the Pro Bowl with a few
Three
other
offensive linemen.
Three offensive linemen. Yeah.
I like that.
So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, he was garbage the whole year. Anyways,
Really?
just real quick, yeah, I put it. I thought y'all would see it.
And this isn't even like. Remember we talked about this on episode number 17.
Yeah.
That the only way Cowboys players were making it is if so and so declined the option. They just tallied the votes.
This is first ballots. First ballot.
Wow.
So Dallas Cowboys. I called the victory last week.
You did.
Dallas will win out and they'll get beat in the playoffs.
They'll get out and dodgeball first.
They'll get beat by whoever comes in second in the NFC West. So Seattle, San Francisco, whenever y'all get through with y'all's division, y'all go to Dallas and beat them.
Yeah. So they've pretty much got an NFC East championship game this Sunday versus the Eagles. Paul and I will be here. We'll talk a little bit more about that game. Zach's going to be at the state championships. Maybe he'll give us a little bit of a report. You know,
I'll go to the bathroom and call in.
Yeah, call in. Yeah, that's like the best place to call in from, you know, with the big old echo. So, all right.
Oh, as opposed to being out there with the big old sound of everything else.
I'd rather you be. Yeah, I'd rather you be out. I'd rather you be out in the stands rather than in a bathroom stall.
Well, there's like 45 minutes in between every game, so I'll have time.
All right, so I want to shout out to everybody that joined us on Facebook Live, and if you missed it, you're just getting on the watch party. It's going to be a little bit later on. It'll be there on the page, on the Recon page, and then we're also going to put it on YouTube.
Shout out Heather, Adam, Heather. Shout out Heather double times. Heather, you're the GOAT. Commented twice. And shout out Sandy.
Yeah. And shout them out for commenting. And, comment on us, and we'll shout you out as well.
We'll shout out Sandy because he's famous. So.
He is famous. All right. Don't forget January 18th. That's going to be the tentative date for our live broadcast out at Kreitz Market down in Lockhart, Texas. Come down and you get to meet Zach and possibly take a selfie. And we're going to be eating lots of barbecue, and it's going to be fun. So we'll be back Saturday. Paul and I will. Zach will be joining us via telefono. All right, Paul, do your thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all enjoying the podcast and you like Zach's beautiful face, please give us a like and subscribe and comment down below. Maybe you can shoot in his DMs. What is it, at Zach?
At Zach Ain't Whack.
At Zach Ain't Whack. Get in his DM, ladies.
We
gone.
Zach Ain't Whack with 2 Ks.